in on something else because
Yeah.
I looked and I was like,
Yes.
I mean, what would even be the point
Yeah.
of that? Like,
We're going to get one of
halfway through this other thing. No,
Mhm.
no, that doesn't make any sense.
But yeah, for people tuning in, just to make it clear that for what did we say, 5 weeks?
7 man.
7? I think it's
7
You're
man.
so bad with time.
We
7 weeks.
hang on. Hang on.
3 plus.
There's
2
7
weeks or so.
It's the 5
2,
weeks. No,
3,
it's the
4,
5
5.
weeks and the 2 weekends that I will be traveling on.
Oh
so I
yeah,
can't
yeah,
anyway.
A
That's
D8 with advantage.
Yes, it's the traveling weekends that
Yes.
that messes me up.
Yes.
All right, for 7 weeks, that we will be on like a summer.
Oh my god,
vacation,
Sheep, you actually
I
rolled
guess,
the
sorta.
right number of weeks.
I'm trying to explain.
Sorry.
Shush.
How
Shush.
cheap.
Which means that for those 7 weeks, we will only have one D&D campaign running, because that's what like me and Valky can commit to reasonably in a week. We'll probably do more, but the risk of us being gone or something is high. So we might as well just go with one for sure. And we have chosen to make that one the Planescape one because it is absolutely new, and we want to try to establish it a bit. Out of the Abyss is well established and can probably survive the month and a half hiatus. I think so, at least. Way the Wicked survived for I don't know 2 months or something like that, and made it out fine. So that's what we're gonna do. This is the last regular broadcast of Out of the Abyss for 7 weeks. Yeah, and instead Planescape will be running on the Saturday time slot. So nothing will change as far as Saturday is concerned, really. There will still be a game. There won't be games on Fridays, though. Yeah.
Easy. Now, with...
And I'll still put out the videos for the 2 Total War campaigns that's ongoing, because we'll be playing those in the mornings or evenings.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's fine.
It'd be great.
Yay.
Alright, with no further ado, shall we commence our final summer break last
Break
It's
episode.
been said now, it's the final session.
Beach episode.
It's our
Everyone-
beach episode. We haven't had a beach episode in this.
Yeah, no.
So,
We
what's
did.
wrong with that? We're underground.
We did have a beach episode. That was
I
like
nearly
with,
drowned.
fish
Oh,
people,
yeah.
and there were
It's
a
true.
demon lord coming in, and it was a whole mess.
It was a bad beach. I couldn't.
We need to find a better beach.
I like Liam couldn't show off his speedos or nothing. Like,
Oh.
we need to go again.
I'm sorry, man. I slept through the entire beach vacation. I kind of got knocked unconscious.
It was only afterwards that Liam realized how perfect he was anyway. So.
I mean, he has 20 strength, man. He's a
He's
he's a
ripped.
Herculean exemplar. That's what he is.
Ripped.
Not the most agile.
No.
No.
But I mean,
Or charismatic.
An
Or-
iron
I mean-
bar, you know.
his
He's-
face is
He's a stone but ripped man, basically.
yes. look at his tusks.
yeah,
His toothy grin, and he's like,
Put him
"Hello."
in a group of people, like a little socially awkward, maybe. Just a little.
Yeah, no, he's
Yeah.
he's not made for high society. He burps. But then,
Perfect trophy husband.
but we have a great party trick, you can turn
Yeah,
it
you can
into
throw
a
me.
Not.
Yes, Liam's introduction is quite clearly. Have you seen my muscles?
Yes, look at me. Look at these muscles, and then people are like, we were talking about like art,
Mhm.
and Liam was like, oh,
Yeah, but look at me though.
I mean, I am art. Look at this.
I am a sculpture of perfection
Yeah,
itself.
basically, he's like a Greek sculpture.
All right, let's get going.
let's get into this.
Yeah. If someone would want to do a recap, then we have the ability to do that.
I'll do it.
All right.
We headed into the Worm Rivings to chase our 2 goals in this area: the finding a purple worm hatchery and the place of the beholder who calls himself the Eyemonger, who apparently wants to enslave all his kin, but more on that at some other point, presumably after the summer break. We'll see. But what we encountered after wandering about a bit were a group of troglodytes who had a bit of a civil war going on, in a sense, with a someone who called himself a champion having kidnapped the chief's wife or something, and now he wanted to take the chief's magical sword. So we encountered that from a distance. We overheard the talks and pretty much got the decision of whether we want to just bypass this, although we did have to travel through the area. Do we want to get involved? Do we just wait this one out? But Gash had already hatched a plan. It would be fun, he thought to himself. And so he approached the troglodytes with the plan of pretty much trying to be the savior of one of the two groups in the civil war, and then getting their eternal gratitude, and then getting them to help us through the worm writhings, because they're natives here. Surely they know their way around. So Gesh walked up and presented himself and offered assistance. However, apparently the champion already thought that he was going to win anyways, so he didn't really need our assistance in the first place. And really, there was nothing Gesh could apparently do to convince him that he does in fact need Gesh. And yeah, so Gesh tried to bargain a bit. Well, if you don't need any help, then can we do anything for you regardless, for you to give us a guide, because we really need a guide? How about that? And he was like, yeah, I'll send a guide your way. Just keep traveling that way and the guide will catch up. So we're like, all right. I mean, that seems fishy, but surely after the amazing display and eloquent and hopefully semi-threatening speech that Gesh has given, he would not be stupid enough to make enemies, right? But as it turns out, the way he sent us was into a bunch of lava or magma methods, which was absolutely some sort of trap, or at least a major inconvenience that could have been confused for a trap. We don't know. Either way, we got a bit angry about that. We trusted his word, and he sent us into this horrible place, and there was no guide in sight. So after getting through the methods, we turned out to be pretty much in the middle of their territory, surrounded by them, the only way back, a tiny tunnel. And they were very angry that we were there in general, mostly because, well, the champion wanted the chief's magical sword, but if we're around, we've got a bunch of magical swords. So the champion and the chief banded together to get all of our swords. Which, yeah. There were many troglodytes who suddenly banded together in eternal friendship and then tried to murder us, which we responded with murdering them instead. And after quite the slaughter, everyone was dead, of the troglodytes at least. Wasn't exactly what Gesh had in mind. In fact, he still feels a bit bad about that, because they didn't seem like they were associated with these demons in any way whatsoever, and they probably maybe would have helped us had we just told them that we are in fact trying to fight demons. But, well, you learn from these experiences. Either way, it wasn't entirely for naught, because we also found a group of Durga, who have been kept prisoner by these troglodytes for, according to them, about 3 years or so. Why they were kept there, who knows? I guess the troglodytes just had fun poking them. They were very grateful and told us that they were prospectors who wanted to exploit the many ores in the worm writhings, but got kidnapped and have been kept there forever. They did manage to give us some good directions, even if they did not believe our stories about demons and how we already defeated some of them. But they're traveling back to the City of Blades. They'll hear about our endeavors, and then they'll believe. Either way, we've got our destinations. We know roughly where the Purple Worm Hatchery and presumably the Imog's lair is at this point, thanks to the Durga, and are continuing our way.
I think
Oh,
you
yeah,
downplayed the murdering, though. It was a
Yeah.
genocide. It
pretty
was
bad.
it was straight up genocide. We killed two clans.
Just goes to show we can't bargain with these creatures, man. It's just they're evil and stupid, and they can't be reasoned with.
The
Said this from the
younglings,
start, man.
the younglings were killed by little floating angels.
That's fine. They core.
That's Cirilla's fault. Not
I
ours.
know.
You are cleansing the world and making it a better place.
It was just self-defense, aggressive self-defense.
It's
That's
very
all.
aggressive.
Gash is not happy about how things turned out at all. Instead of his plan working out and having at least one of the groups really help us, none of the groups did. When he could have just told the truth, and that would have probably gotten them on our side.
Are you saying Gash learned an important lesson about lying?
Yes
Oh.
and no.
To be fair, though, I loved your plan so much that I didn't even want to, like, I kind of wanted it to succeed. And I was sad when it didn't.
The situation sort of... Gash was too full of himself to see the greater good here. Which is something he has been fairly good about. The demons are the real enemy. Whether he has fun fighting them or not doesn't really matter. Just matters that they are gone. Gash would have definitely, at some point after the slaughter, having take Cinder aside for a bit and explain that whatever happened there, that was really stupid by all of us. And could have turned out much better had we thought about how to do things rather than just acting.
Wait. Stupid of all of us, you mean stupid of Gash, right? I don't feel like I should take the blame.
Like, we don't even know what Gash was saying, remember?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
just had no idea what he was doing.
Yeah, it was
Cinder,
mostly stupid by Gash.
thought it went great. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Like, all we know is you floated forward, started being telepathic, and then eventually said for us to come down. That's what we know.
Cinder thinks that any battle that him and his allies win is a battle for good.
Yeah.
And
If-
clearly, treasure and loot was obtained, and that was good. They were not part of the group, and friends
If
together.
we-
They were not friends.
Cinder would make an excellent, like, genocidal paladin.
I mean,
If
we
we-
saved some Jorgar. I mean, we made up
hey,
for
hey.
our actions.
If we did not find those Durga at the end, the entire slaughter, despite, gaining material goods from it, would have been entirely counterproductive to our goals in finding the things we need to free the world from demons. It is only by luck that we actually manage to get what we need to do that in the first place.
Well, yeah. I'm trying to save you here, man.
Yeah. It's not about the fight, it's about the outcome.
Yep.
Which material goods are fleeting, considering that demons might still eat the entire world. Priorities. After that's taken care of, yeah,
I mean,
sure. Collect gold,
It's
whatever.
too bad the troglodytes didn't see the priorities. They seem.
We never told them that.
I mean, they honestly seem too stupid and evil to be reasoned with.
They didn't seem evil at all. Well, sort of evil.
The
They were
white-
evil.
They were
Wait.
greedy enough to try and murder all of us.
Yeah, why did they try to kill us then? If they.
Well, they didn't want outsiders
Their-
in their place.
Their leaders also just kept setting their people up as wave after wave instead of like, maybe we should stop now.
Yeah,
They kept sending-
these people wanted to talk to us, but instead we're gonna save our.
Like,
Dude,
send
it's not like
everyone
we
to
pursued them.
murder
We stood on the corner
Yeah.
and they came to us.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Like the fact that like, we continued going on, like we weren't actually chasing after them. We just continued on, and they sent more people back at us again. It's like, well,
And
we
then-
thought this was over already.
Then, according to the story, you went to be like, "Hey, you sent people and we killed them all. Can we just talk because we sort of need your help?"
Yeah, and then they
And they're like,
attacked us anyway.
"No!"
To be fair,
Yeah,
though,
that
I mean,
was
that's after we
after we
decimated their
killed
entire clan,
95%.
so...
So
Yeah, but they said that
really,
because they kept throwing them at us, not because we went off.
so really, they are the bad guys here.
No.
They-
Well, yes, there were only bad guys in this situation when we should be the heroes. Come on, people.
I mean, we were very heroic. We saved the Durgar. We fought for our
Acci-
lives.
we accidentally saved a bunch of
I mean, most of what we did, I think, is more neutral. We did mostly just self-defense.
Yeah, because it's not like we actively wanted to do it, but we got betrayed, and then they started killing us, trying to
Yeah.
kill us.
Yeah, see,
So
that's the thing. As soon as treachery comes in, then they just time to.
if we just like was like whatever and started killing them, then I'd have a problem with it. But like we attempted to be nice and they showed us their colors, and well, there you go.
Yeah.
Not to be
Cinder?
trusted.
Also, will actually tell Gesh because he's sort of taken to teaching people things now because that's sort of how he's been raised. So he expresses his opinions very often as lessons for other people.
Oh, great.
That he will say that it's important to understand that once someone hurts you, you must prove it so that they can never hurt you again. Now these things will never hurt them again. They, and anyone who learns of it will not do the same mistake. They could never be trusted.
That I can agree with. However, we killed potential allies. We could have gained much more from this than we have. Had we spent just a moment thinking about things rather than just act. Think before you act, Cinder. Always.
That's true. As long as the argument isn't that something was done for evil, because Cinder knows that nothing is sacred and everything is always permitted.
Yeah, someone has told him that, certainly.
In the pursuit of a greater goal, yes. Which in this case is fighting demons.
I think his ears closed on that second part of the
Yeah,
sentence.
no, I think he didn't really. Or the great goal is like gold. Gold. Well, it seems regardless, it has been a teaching moment. It seems.
For everyone involved.
Yeah, except the ones
except
who are
for all
dead.
the people who are dead. Yeah.
No sense crying. Every mistake.
What a party we're looking on.
Hmm.
What we ended with last time, though, was omitted a little bit from our recap. Perhaps it was overshadowed as it happened at the very end. You are walking these tunnels, going in the direction you were told to go to find this nursery. When a loud booming voice, warning perhaps, echoed through the cavern ahead. In Undercommon, which some of you can understand at this point, says, "Turn back or suffer death so horrible you cannot imagine it. You have been warned."
Oh yeah, that's the thing that Gash pretty much laughed at and said, "My creativity is very vast. Try me." And I believe then we just continue on.
Hey, Jimjo. If Jimjo wants, I'll bet to Jimjo that 5 gold that it's nothing but either like a method or some other small annoying creature.
As you persist down this path, then, going for about 20 minutes, perhaps, another warning is heard. "Fools! Flee now! This is your final warning."
Is there a way to tell whether these messages are like actually someone talking or if they're just triggered recordings?
Do you have a way of detecting magic?
I do not.
Oh, hold on. Let me check. Did I swap that spell out? Let me check. Window selected. Yeah, I got rid of it. Sorry. I have dispel magic, but not detect.
What's magic?
Then it's hard to tell. There's a voice certainly. I mean,
I'm reminded of the voice that the Kenku were doing back at the.
Hence my bet for small annoying creature.
I mean, my experience from the Underdark is that the really dangerous stuff don't warn that they're around. They just attack you.
Yeah.
And if something warns you, it's trying to scare you away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And worst case scenario, we have to go into another fight.
Well, let's be wary for traps, magic ones in particular. And people shouting warnings too, I suppose, in case that's actually what's happening.
I mean, that's cool. We'll keep an eye out them with our perceptions. And, yeah, careful.
Yeah, you move on through these tunnels. Going first, perhaps. Like this, right?
Going left?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd imagine Cyril would be near the front with her passive perception. And maybe Liam up near the front as well?
Yeah, she's gonna be in the middle.
Have we
I'll
gotten
guard,
a rest?
I'll guard the rear.
I always go in the middle, so.
Have we gotten a rest?
We rested at the end of our session.
Yes, we did.
There we go.
Yeah, sure. We can have Liam and Cyril at the front. I'll guard the rear. There's two cars.
You haven't rested, or you have actually. For some reason, I got confused because you only had 2 spell slots, but then I realized that's because you're not a full caster.
Yeah, I don't get many spell slots.
I was like, where are? Oh yeah.
That's all I get. I only get 4 too.
I am a full caster and I only have 2 spell slots.
Yeah, that's not the trick.
But you cast up the highest level all the time anyway. It's great.
Alright, well. Thumbs up here.
Sure.
See, I'll go ahead and be in double weapon mode right now.
As you move here, Cyril has decent passive perception. Spots indeed that there is a passage to the south, which seems to have been blocked off by an illusory wall.
Illusory.
Liam's perception would also allow him to see it. In fact, all of your perceptions would allow you to see it, hence I have just made it visible.
Alright, it's pretty shitty disguise then.
Yeah, 14 is the lowest perception we have, so.
Liam will peer down the west and then to the south, and he will silently point to the south.
Oh, it
Yeah.
just shows my passive perception is the highest. What the?
Cyril's is technically higher right now because she has allies helping her.
Yes.
True.
22, yeah. This passage seems to grow a little narrower. The air is also staler, suggesting that it's a cavern. Behind it. There is an eerie quiet. No sound at all.
Liam will slowly slide his sword out of the scabbard as he moves forward.
I fight the quiet.
Should I put Holy Sword on your weapon real quick?
Liam
Or Holy Weapon?
peeks.
You can, certainly, yes.
Can I do an action real quick, Monica?
Sure.
Sure. I'll put Holy Weapon on Liam's Fang. So let me just press, I don't know, Mass Cure Wounds to get rid of the point. There we go.
As Liam steps forward, lots of light emission and everything. I believe it certainly does. A burst of radiance, yeah.
It is a burst of radiance.
Someone can't help but let out a hiss as
Yes.
as a drow that was pushed themselves up against, or herself up against the wall, sort of recoils in raising hands, empty of a weapon, up in front of eyes.
It is bright light as well.
Yeah, is it sunlight even?
No, I think it's bright light.
No, it's
I
not.
mean, I have
sunlight.
Dawnbreaker just 10 feet behind you.
She steps back, saying, in common,
Still bright light there.
you can't stumble that fast. In common, stop there! I will. My magic will end you if you continue.
Cirilla will laugh.
Sure.
She'll straight up laugh.
Liam will like quirk an eyebrow. He will call back. What are you doing here, Drow?
I am gathering reagents for my rituals. You should not be here. This place is dangerous for people like you. My associates are very close.
Well, you speak rather high and mighty for a person who seems to be deathly afraid of a particular bright torch. For that matter, we're here for the same reason, so perhaps we can just work together.
Keeps unable to look at you. And casts a spell.
Counterspell.
All right.
I don't care what it is. It's
Sure.
I
getting
mean,
counterspell.
I can do it if you want instead of
No.
wasting one of your. Okay.
Oh, I said it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Sure. I believe there's a roll involved.
Uh,
No, there isn't.
if it's a level 5 or lower, it just doesn't work.
It is level 5 or lower. Yeah.
Okay. Probably cantrip. I don't care. It's a show of power here, right?
Mm. She raises her hands to do a magical gesture, and you just, I don't know, snap your fingers or something, and what seemed to be a golden glow leaves them as she steps further back, recoiling.
Roland's come around the corner with his golden sword as well.
Looking a bit around her, eyes like reddened by the bright light.
Could you turn off the light a bit so we can actually talk?
Looking
No.
around the cavern here, you can see that it's fairly empty. Nothing much is really in here at all.
Liam will look around with the sword like as a torch, and then he'll say, "Fine," and then he'll slide it back into his scabbard. But you see the light like pouring out of the sides of the sword.
Roland will dim the light of Dawnbringer. Not turn it off, but dim the light.
So they'll stand there concentrating.
Dim the fervor of Dawn.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, that's actually the thing. I can spend a quick action to lower the brightness.
Yeah, it's an hour-long concentration. I don't want to waste it for the comfort of a drow.
Yeah, just keep concentrating.
Yeah, and I
Keep
can't
concentrating.
dim it, so.
Stand there.
It's-
Just stand
it's in
there
the
like.
scabbard. I
like
can draw it as
standing
a free action anyway. So
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
here. This. I promise that I will not smite you if you promise the same. Says slightly hopeful. Her voice sort of accented in undercommon.
Oh, you can rest assured that we are not itching for a fight because we had a rather large one recently. And we've also come across the remains of both a caravan and multiple drow, so I assume those used to be your companions, which are no longer in a position to help you.
Frowns slightly. And for a moment is quiet, though it seemed to be more of a puzzled confusion than anything else. Example. There are purple worms nearby. A nursery, in fact. If we make loud noises, they will come right here and devour all of us.
Well, that would be inconvenient for everyone involved, wouldn't it?
She nods.
So let's not. Now, what kind of ritual are you exactly planning?
She frowns at you.
Oh, I'm merely curious. We're doing something very similar, but I suppose if we don't want to talk about each other's details, then we won't.
It is
Yes.
a ritual of. She sort of looks about. Why should I tell you? What
Because,
ritual are you making?
well, two answers to that. First, I asked first. And two, I believe that we are in a much better position to help you than you are in a position to help us. So it would be in your best benefit to tell us. Besides,
Also carrying all the weapons here. Liam crosses his arms.
And one slight piece of advice, if you want to scare people away, don't be so literal with your warnings. Anything that explicitly tells someone that something is dangerous, is just going to tell everyone that they are in fact not dangerous, but just want to pretend to be. Try spooky noises or the sounds of worms digging through the underbrush. Something like that would scare people away much more reliably.
That would be great advice, perhaps, if I had heard worms in the underbrush. Just leaning back against the wall, sighing. The short sword she had drawn on her back, just letting it fall to the ground, seemingly just thinking that at this point she might as well give up. There's no chance of her actually killing all of you.
No.
Fashion, and you don't seem particularly intimidated.
No.
There is no ritual. Not for me, anyway.
You were collecting reagents for someone else then?
I don't know what they want with them.
That's fair enough. You said you haven't heard any worms? Is this not a nursery after all?
Sheep, could you give me a persuasion check? Let's see your general demeanor of the situation.
Can absolutely do that.
How trustworthy
Cyrilla will
does
be
Fish manage to make himself?
Cyrilla wants to watch him to see if he tells the truth.
If Guest does.
No. If the drow does after this.
She does.
Yeah. She does.
Yeah. She'll look at this. It's not that they're not here. I'm sure they are. However, this is my first time on one of the raids.
And you're thoroughly alone, it appears.
Yes, I got lost from the others.
When did you last see them? In this area or before?
They're around here somewhere. The cavern collapsed and I was not fast enough to get through before it was blocked off. I'm sure they're looking for me, but the timing is very sensitive. I planned to go and find an egg. The purple worm eggs, that's why we're here.
They were very sought after these days, it seems.
Yes. They are worth the weight in gold. However, it is not gold that most people come here for them for. It is favors. They're very hard to get, you see, and it takes quite some competence to acquire them. And so whoever can bring them as gifts to the priesthood of Menzoberranzan can earn their way inside the city. Favor, wealth, reputation. These things are something that's rather hard to get, you understand, and, well, if I had one of these eggs,
A new life.
Nods. You could say that.
It's a respectable motivation. How long have you been stuck here? Or waiting, at least.
Day and a half. My pack got crushed. The cavern shifted.
And how many were there in your group?
She looks at you slightly suspicious suddenly. Why do you ask?
Oh, well, I'm mostly trying to compare to what we've seen so far. I was not lying when I said we saw the remains of what seemed to be a caravan at some point, although I'm not sure how old the remains were. Did you travel past any group of troglodytes, perhaps?
Yes, we did. Another group, though, a rival party, they encountered them.
Ah, so it wasn't your group after all.
No, the others were slower than us. They traveled with equipment, carriages, that sort of thing. Had they gotten this far, they would doubtlessly have been devoured.
How many groups do you think are trying to find these eggs? Surely there's only a limited amount of favors.
Yes. However, most groups fail. It is an occasional thing. A party will sit out. The group I'm with, they have done it before. It's sort of what they do.
Professional purple worm seekers, I see.
Yes.
Well, I suppose you have two options at this point. Either you can sit here, wait for your companions to go fetch you if that ever happens, or I suppose you could come along with us. We'll meet your friends at some point, I'm sure. And whatever expertise you might have, even though it might be your first time, could be useful.
And who are you? You were using it for some sort of ritual, but you're not from down here.
No, certainly not.
You're from the surface.
Perhaps. I would be more willing to answer your questions if you could offer more details about your quest. I'm sure you understand that being careful about one's motivation is important. Suffice to say, we have good intentions in mind for this particular ritual. I'm sure you've heard about the troubles in the Underdark recently.
Do not.
We seek to alleviate some of them.
I can help you. There should be
Right.
X enough for all of us.
That's my thought as well. Surely there's no
However-
shortage of those.
However, you will have to promise me to swear an oath that we will not leave before each of us have got one.
Gesh looks behind him at all the people, and then back.
Cyrilla
That would be
frowns.
many eggs indeed.
Liam grunts and says, "That seems more beneficial to you than to us."
But I know about this place. I've been educated thoroughly.
It also
And all
makes
he wants is a new life. I'm sure we can find 2 eggs. You mean each group, right? Not every single person.
There
our-
should be enough for all of us if we wanted it, but you don't know, but well, purple worms always lair in groups, many together.
then why would we need to make a promise if they are right next to each other? You should be able to grab it.
He just wants some certainty in the face of strangers, Cyrilla.
She frowns and is sure that this drow has a different agenda. They
If
always
you'd
do.
like me to promise that you will, in fact, if you follow us and we get the opportunity to fetch some eggs, can keep one of them, then you can consider it having been given. Turns out common is a very difficult language.
Another thing. I want a meal before we go anywhere.
I think we can handle that.
Roland makes a slight sigh, already opening up his backpack, hearing the conversation going on.
You know, gestures.
Give her
Yeah.
the ones that are like on the way out. You know, they're kind of old and stale.
Yeah, he'll go ahead and quickly prepare like the food that he's the most stale. It's still completely edible, but the food that's on the food that kind of in just towards the end of its shelf life. Prepare it and then put it out.
Just 6 cans of spam.
Yes.
I mean, hey, Roland's getting better at cooking, so
It's like hard mushroom bread, indistinguishable from a rock.
Like the food that's been like laying underneath Liam's training clothes all the time.
God,
God, no.
That's
Ro-
poison.
It's like
Ro- yeah,
Liam
Roland-
forgot some food down there, and he's like,
Roland
"Oh."
won't consider that edible anymore.
When I entered the Underdark, I had this protein bar in my
Yes,
pants.
exactly. It's still there, but
No, Roland's meticulous when
Dried
it comes.
fish originally. I don't know what it is now.
yes.
Yeah,
Bit mushy.
After Roland finds like the correct bit of fur, after finds something that's something small for a meal. Quickly, probably adding a couple of his own personal little bottles of their seasoning to try and make it something that tastes okay-ish.
She'll gesture so that you can enter the cave.
Roland's not the
she'll
most
sit down.
interested. He'll get to kind of this range and just mage hand it over.
Oh, sure.
He does that. He does that effortlessly anyway, just a flick of his hand. So
Still accepted. Eating it with a voracious appetite. Taking a bit of time to do so. Gesturing for perhaps Gesh to come.
Sure.
plus, I imagine the drow doesn't want to get too close anyway. Given I do have Dawnbringer still. Is even the lightness?
Yeah,
even
like the light makes her eyes run and her skin like itch.
I'll stay.
but,
I'll stay over here with the brightness turned down.
Yeah, as Gish comes over. Say, you can call me Hen.
You may call me Gash. My companions, I'm sure, can introduce themselves if they so feel like it. Which I'm
Where
sure
I
they'll
am.
do
I
at
would do
some
so.
Position I am in, I might be as cautious as they are.
Liam's just arms crossed, leaned against the wall, watching the drow for treachery.
Riordan will introduce himself. Be fine. Nothing much else though.
Ron's just kind of staring up at the ceiling right now, just thinking to himself while he's got nothing else to do. Being contemplative.
So if you're saying that you are with a group who has done this kind of thing before, I don't suppose you have any tips to give us.
Well, if we're going to do this, then yes, definitely a lot of tips.
Great.
I just hope the others are not dead. They were attacked, I'm sure. That's what made the rubble.
They're an experienced bunch. I'm sure they're fine. And if they are not, that just means more favor for you, right?
She makes a grimace, but nods. A gesture that is not in line with her expression. Yeah, more favor. So, I require this to be allowed to study the academy, mage training. I have some talent, but I am not highborn enough to be considered. The wizards use them for all sorts of rituals. But what ritual are you doing?
Liam smiles, looks over to Gash. Well, you did an apprentice, right, Gash?
I'm curious.
I most certainly do not need an apprentice. The ritual we're trying to do is one that, as I've said, will alleviate some of the demonic problems of the Underdark. However, the details, I'm afraid, are a bit sensitive.
Right.
Have you been to Mensabaransan recently? We were under the impression that the demon incursion has damaged the city severely.
Very severely, yes. Much has been rebuilt, though. Magic and slaves are being pushed to the limit. Many of them expire, but the city promises that it will hunt for new ones soon.
Well, I suppose you should know that we ended up in the Underdark as just those slaves. So perhaps that is not exactly a topic we wish to have elaborated on too much. You understand?
I won't give you details then.
Liam,
I personally hold you no ill will, however.
And neither do we to you. We are tolerant enough to recognize that not all drow are the same.
She glances to the forest, standing over there, like judging. Eldith, like arms crossed, a frown.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Gripped the warhammer.
That's pretty
Been
much
one
the
good drow so far.
yeah.
Although I suppose I am easier to convince than others, but I'm sure that if you can share some of the skills you possess, you will quickly convince the others as well.
Once we get in there, it's important you're very careful with what you talk about. Well, talk at all. Saying words might be enough to... From the beginning, When the purple worms lair, they make a cavern that is very specific in its construction. The central cavern is very well rounded. This is not my birth language, of course, but left to say, words might be enough to trigger vibrations that would call them from far and wide.
I think Reardon can chime in with a lesson of acoustics.
Mhm.
Well,
Surely
luckily,
footsteps would as well then.
luckily we have like the
You
super
know,
sneaky guy with us.
yes, it is very important to be quiet. And
I'm telling you, this
I
is
will
why I
point
need
out
mithril
that
plate.
I have a spell that can make us completely quiet.
That's good.
Oh my.
that might work were it not vibrations they sensed.
Yes, it's not going to suppress footsteps. However, if we don't walk but rather float, that might work.
How much? How big is the stealth bonus of Rona?
I think it's like 9.
Pretty sure it's like plus 11.
It's
What's
pretty
that?
damn high. Your
What's your
stealth.
Roll and
sneak?
stealth bonus.
Roll on stealth is 11.
Yeah.
And then advantage.
Yeah, 11 would have gone.
It's pretty good. Fairly confident in the snake.
If I meld
Fine.
into stone, do I make vibrations?
I would say
No.
yes, but I don't
No,
know.
you're in the stone.
I'm literally part of the stone, aren't I?
Yeah, you're like a weird stone thing.
Yeah.
So how many creatures can you target with fly?
3.
I can target one, unless I can use higher level spell slots on my lyre, but I don't think I can. Because
Probably
it
not.
comes from it itself, so.
Yeah. I think bounds are too good.
So 4 is the best we can get.
You know what I
Check.
miss is zone of
Question mark.
silence.
All your companions look at one another.
Yeah, we can't make everyone float.
No.
So what strategy did your group use to not wake up the
Well,
purple ones?
We're all very quiet. Stealthy, though, as you understand, my group was attacked, so perhaps something that is not entirely foolproof.
Hmm.
The worms stray quite far to forage, and only a few of them are usually close enough by. Usually, my group would have set up a trap, a loud sound, usually bringing equipment and such with them from a distance. Setting a timer that then makes a small quake some distance from the hive, the nursery, will draw the purple worms there, giving a small window of time to go in, fetch the eggs, and get out.
I'm sure we can improvise something.
Sadly, whatever moves around that place is going to have a very bad time. Beyond that,
Gash glances to Finger Muncher.
good abilities to climb are necessary. The eggs are always suspended at the top of a cavern. The sticky strands of worm spittle that keep them there attract all sorts of parasites. It is really no easy task. However, should we accomplish it, there should be eggs enough for all of us. Who knows? If you came to Menzo Baranzan and brought them, then they might even give you some respect. Well, she looks to the elves. Not all of you.
We're looking for a bit more than respect. We're looking to do something that will earn us respect. So we don't require Menzo Baranzan's anything, really.
Ron stares over at Gash.
It would be a valuable trade good, nonetheless. There's no reason to just take one.
That is true.
There are certain chambers around the main chamber, which are made to capture sound or movement through them. In those chambers, you must be absolutely quiet and absolutely careful. If any sound is made there, that too will call upon the worms. The nests are very intricately built, you see.
Hmm.
Beyond that, of course, the worms also periodically move to check up on the nest, close by, that is, taking turns, usually just one at a time. We usually avoid them, but in worst case, some might die to give the others time. It happens quite often, I'm told.
Well, I for one don't have any further questions. Although, one more question. What do you think is the egg to slaves ratio in Mental Ransom? How many could I trade for if I had one?
Well, ordinarily you could get quite a few, of course. It would depend on the type of slave, the quality of them.
Well,
Just
some very specific people, let's say.
that depends on their price. I'm not a slave trader myself. Never owned anyone.
Magic users, sorcerers of nature.
Francis, magic users are expensive, especially now. However, with the eggs, you could likely purchase them fairly easily. These things are very hard to acquire.
There is
You need to buy
there is-
mages, and
there is a spark in Roland's eye.
I don't know how they would refuse it.
Well,
Get
something
that.
to keep in mind then.
Who knows?
Roland hates this as well, but his priority one is rescuing. He doesn't care how.
So why do you wish to purchase specific people? Do you have need of someone?
Not need, but rather there might be some people who we would rather not be slaves in the first place.
Oh. Yeah, of course. I could see that. Looking to the elves again.
Yeah, I think you understand.
Roland does his best to divert his cold gaze away. Best.
Oh, Cyrilus is
If-
like staring daggers.
You help me get out of here too once we have the eggs. I could potentially show you the path to Mince Branson, and though some of you might have to stay behind, the elves again, you should certainly fit in well enough, Liam. You as well, I think.
I can see something the black dragonborn and the orc match filling in.
Wow. Thanks.
So racist. Oh my god.
The thing is, the Drow themselves are being racist. That's the
It's
point here.
true. They are fucking horrible beings.
The Drow are the ones being racist. I'm just saying, like, you'd fit into their racism.
It's true.
We could go in. I know how to sell the eggs. It's not something that many people do. And you
How
want a
about
real
we-
price for them.
How about we get them first before we consider the logistics of selling them, eh?
Not just, of course, but it has value to me for you to know that I'm worth keeping alive even after we've gotten in and out.
You certainly are a very suspicious person. Despite all my words, you still don't. I suppose I can blame you, considering the daggers you're being thrown at, well, figuratively at least. But I'm sure those hostilities will evaporate as soon as you travel with us.
Brown slightly insists. Tales of those who trust are always